Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. So we've got some Guns N' Roses news because you normally do it on Monday morning, but because we had a show in Minneapolis, I did the concert recap that day. So we're talking about all the stuff on Tuesday. So let's talk about the Guns N' Roses news that happened in the past week. So Guns played St. Louis, and the show was great. You know, a lot of people who went commented and said that the show was really good. Congratulations to the fans of St. Louis. You finally got to hear the second half of Rocket Queen finally without Axl jumping into the audience. So we had a lot of good positive reviews and press coverage. We also had Stump, who caused the 91 riot, or was the guy that was taking photographs of Axl in 91. He attended the show and actually got a VIP pass as well. So a lot of people wondering, where was Stump? Was he going to show up? Yeah, he did show up at the concert. It seems like he had a good time as well. I want to give a shout out to one of my subscribers, Avalon. He gave a shout out to me in one of his videos, and I recommend you guys go subscribe and check out his channel. He's a really good guitar player. He did one video in particular where he plays all of Slash's guitar riffs from Guns N' Roses all the way through to his solo stuff with Miles Kennedy. And then he was nice enough to give me a shout out too at the end of his video, so I really want to thank Avalon for that. Go check out his channel. I've linked to it down below in the description box. So we've also got an interview with the band The Darkness. They opened up for Guns N' Roses, and they were actually being interviewed by Enemy and asked about their thoughts about opening for Guns N' Roses. And here's what they had to say. I did actually go back to Appetite, the first GNR album. Big Appetite, I love it. It's really powerful. It's one of those records where you can really hear the two guitar players, or what the two guitar players are up to, because they're properly separated like an AC/DC album, which I never realized before. One of the reasons why Slash really pops out is because of what the other guy is up to as well. It's magical. I love listening to things and knowing who has done what. Everything in its place. Slash over there, the other bloke over there, Axl down in the middle. He added the experience opening for them, didn't disappoint at all. It was exactly what we were hoping for. We didn't get to hang out with them very much because of a few things that were said. Presumably, I don't know, people react to things in a really strange way. So anyways, we didn't hang out. We watched the whole show in Zurich. It's just brilliant to hear all those songs, and then loads of other songs as well. It was a really long set with lots of covers and more guitar solos than I've ever heard at any gig. He also said about a different cowboy hat every song and a half. Beyond that, when you look down, there was even different t-shirt here and there, more costume changes. What happened was I began to realize when these long solos are going and you're just watching the fingers and you're mesmerized, it's a distraction technique, and Axl is running off there and putting on a different hat, and then he comes back and he's also got a different t-shirt as well. God knows how many people are working behind the scenes to keep that thing ticking over there. It's really impressive. One of them was a t-shirt and it had a lady's legs splayed invitingly, but in the middle where you would expect to see your lady part, there was a cat, an actual cat. It was brilliant. So if you guys want to see the whole interview, I've linked to it down below in the description box. Let's go into our next piece of news. So moving on to our next piece of news, we've been hearing these rumors for a long time, but they were once again in the news this week. So there was rumors about a new Guns N' Roses album, and it's courtesy of Richard Fortus, who's been doing interviews, and the title reads, Guns N' Roses Talk Magical New Album. So guitarist Richard Fortus has given an update on the legendary band's next recorded project. So Guns N' Roses are set to record a magical new album, according to the band's guitarist Richard Fortus. So work on the legendary band's next project is expected to start in earnest following the conclusion of their ongoing Not in This Lifetime tour, and will mark their first proper return to the studio since 2008's Chinese Democracy. So he was speaking to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He said, everyone is excited about it. There's really a magical thing now with the band. It feels like a new band, Fortus told the newspaper. It feels like the best version of the band since I joined, and it's the most fun for me. There's so much excitement around. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of this, guys. I think I won't believe anything until they officially release something or Slash and Duff come out and say something. And then we've also got some new numbers regarding Guns N' Roses' tour in 2017. They're actually boasting the highest grossing tour so far. And here's the list of performers for Guns N' Roses. Are number one with almost $100 million and almost 1 million people for the 23 shows that they've played. You know, they're followed by Coldplay, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, I don't know if you guys have heard, he's actually canceled the rest of his tour. U2, Red Hot Chili Peppers are on there, Eric Church. I'm kind of surprised Trans-Siberian Orchestra is actually in the top 10. I know it's a popular show, but I never would have thought they'd been in the top 10. Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen is a little further down, and then Stevie Nicks. And then we've also got a new interview with Dave Grohl. So Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters are, they've finished up a new album. It's coming out later this year, and I'm really excited about it. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. And he was doing an interview with Rolling Stone, and the topic of Axl Rose actually came up. So here's what they actually had to say. So now that the Foo Fighters record is done and the group is touring again, Grohl feels rejuvenated. He's looking forward to attempting another season of his HBO musicology and travel show Sonic Highways sometime when I can, but mostly he's just enjoying being on the road and walking by himself. He also said, I lent the throne to Axl Rose because he broke his foot a while back, and I went to the show to see them, he says. It was the first time I'd been in the audience watching someone perform in this thing, and I thought, this is the most ridiculous effing idea. So Grohl needed time to recuperate after spending nearly a year off the road on a mobile throne, as he'd broken his leg falling off stage mid-song in a 2015 gig in Sweden. We had such a great run, but I couldn't walk yet, he says. In order to take care of myself, I needed to get away from everything. I was in physical therapy for 2 to 3 hours a day for almost a year, so he told his bandmates he didn't want to touch an instrument for a year. We've taken so much time off, he says. I also want to bring to your attention, guys, some really rare interview footage I've never really heard before. I want to give a shout out to Miss Metal. Got some great, they're really short, but they're clips of Axl I've never heard before. So this was when he was promoting Use Your Illusion. There's one clip about him talking about his piano playing. And then there's also a clip of him talking about his child abuse and how he wants to work with these child abuse charities and groups. And I wish that I could find the entire interview because they're really fascinating, especially for a Guns N' Roses fan who's never heard this stuff before, but I've linked to both interviews down below. And then we've also got this news story that I guess slipped through the cracks last week. So there was a Guns N' Roses online photography auction that actually celebrated 30 years of Appetite for Destruction. So Roxy Auctions launched a second auction celebrating the 30th anniversary for Appetite for Destruction, featuring 15 iconic GNR photos from Mark Wise Guy Weiss. So if you go to rockauctions.com, Roxy Auctions, you can actually bid on Weiss's iconic photographs. So through the site, the music fans will have the opportunity to bid on rock and roll photographs, and Why Hunger will receive a portion of the proceeds for the auction. So Mark talked about his days with Guns N' Roses. He said, I first shot Guns N' Roses in the fall of 1986, 8 months prior to the release of Appetite for Destruction. They were still working on the album. The buzz was out, and Hit Parader magazine wanted me to shoot them for the cover. When I first met them, they were a bit guarded. They had their own photographer, probably referring to Robert John or Mark Cantor, who was there, and the band didn't want to shoot with anyone but him, as I was told by the publicist. The record company told them that they had to shoot with me so I can get them in the magazines. I remember Axl not wanting to look into the camera. I gave them their space and shot a few rolls of film. I thought it was peculiar that they would be all glammed up, and then on Axl's pants it said "Glam Sucks." It was the beginning of many more memorable images to come. The band came to my studio for a quick shoot during their stay in New York City when they played the Ritz on October 23rd, 1987. February 2nd, 1988, just 4 months later, they came back to New York City to play the Ritz for a live MTV broadcast concert. This historic show put Guns N' Roses on the rock and roll map and on their way to superstardom, of course. So he said they invited me to come to CBGB's on October 30th, where they did an acoustic set along with an autograph signing. I shot a few Motley Crue shows in Florida, and at the end of November 1987, Guns N' Roses were the opening band. I went to say hello to the guys before they went on and asked if they would do a few photos after the show. When I went back, Axl was in a towel with his boots on. In the spring of 1988, I was back in LA and heard Guns were off tour for a couple of weeks. I reached out to their publicist to see if they would come up for a shoot. We ended up shooting the Sunset Grill on Hollywood Boulevard. Everyone showed up except Axl. I shot individuals of the four of them, and the next day I shot Axl. He drove up with his girlfriend Erin Everly, had a burger, then posed for about 15 minutes. As he was leaving, he showed me his cell phone, which was huge. He was like, "Look at what I got, Mark. Want to make a call?" It was the first time I used a cell phone. And even former Guns N' Roses drummer Steven Adler recalled the sessions with Mark. He was able to make the guys in the band that he shot look really good. He also said he knew when to push the button and set the lights. He had a magic touch, like Guns N' Roses did. When the five of us were together, we had a magic touch. We couldn't do no wrong, and Mark did the same magic. So these are some of the photos, which are pretty cool. I know I've seen some of these photos before. Some of these I haven't seen before. So let's go on to our next news story. So we had actress Jill Kargman on Jimmy Fallon's show, and she talked about having a religious experience at a Guns N' Roses concert. So there's a clip on Jimmy Fallon's channel, which I've linked to down below. So the Odd Mom Out star, Jill Kargman, loves Guns N' Roses, and she's a metalhead in general. And when she says she loves Guns N' Roses, she loves Guns N' Roses. So she actually attended the Apollo show that they did for Sirius XM, and she said that she actually had a religious experience. So she said that I was like the Romanians in 1987 who fainted during Michael Jackson and they were in stretchers. She said it was over 3 hours and it was a dream. She said Axl did a great performance, and even Jimmy Fallon gave her a umbrella for her head with the Appetite for Destruction logo on it. So I thought that was cool. So I've linked to the clip down below. You guys can go check it out. Let's go into our next news story. So alternative rock band Weezer were in the news a couple weeks ago. They had dressed up as Guns N' Roses on stage, and they've once again paid tribute to Guns N' Roses, and their new music video feels like summer. So they basically spoofed Paradise City. It's almost like scene for scene, and you guys can go check it out. I've linked to the new music video down below. I'm not a huge fan of Weezer's new stuff, but I really like their old stuff, like I'd said before. So go check it out, guys, and let me know what your thoughts are. I think it's funny too that Weezer opened some shows for Guns N' Roses back in 2002. So I think they're doing it as like a tribute because they're fans of the actual band. So there's a new punk rock documentary featuring Duff McKagan as well as many other musicians. So it's called Turn It Around, the story of East Bay punk at the IFC Center in New York. So it's a 2017 documentary, and it's soon going to be screened at the IFC Center in New York City. So the documentary is actually featuring Billy Joe Armstrong, Iggy Pop, Miranda July, Silas Howard, Duff McKagan, and Kirk Hammett. So the documentary will be screened from July 28th to August 3rd, 2017 at the IFC Center in New York City. So hopefully this documentary makes its way online, and I'd love to see a screening of it and see what Duff has to say about the punk scene. So we had the Guns N' Roses Vivo channel. They released a new video promoting the European tour. So they did part 1 a couple weeks ago, and then they also released a part 2 earlier this week. And it's just basically a highlight of all the shows that Guns N' Roses played across Europe, starting in London all the way to Tel Aviv, Israel, and just a recap of it, and some nice pro shot footage as well. So I've linked to that down below in the description box. So we've also got this new fan-made art of the current lineup of Guns N' Roses. I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are on it. Comment down below. I find it kind of funny. And then we've also got this photo of Guns N' Roses and what I assume is probably their entourage and their touring people that they've actually been working with. And then we've also got a photo of Axl out in St. Louis. And then it was also Slash's birthday, so there's been some birthday photos popping up here and there. And then we've also got a post from Richard Fortus, who was basically just saying how humbled he is and how it was such a great gig to play in St. Louis finally with Guns N' Roses. So that does it for today's video talking about Guns N' Roses news. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the contents of this video, and be sure to subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do and you want to see more stuff just like this. And you guys can go support me on Patreon and on Facebook and Twitter. The links to my social media channels and Patreon are down below in the description box. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have yourself a good week.